For the instant reaction, 30-23, the final score. And, there was some hand wringing there in the first half. This ended up exactly like all the other 49ers Rams games in the regular season. It's 9 straight wins now over the Rams for the 49ers in the regular season. And in each of those 9, they have just methodically snuffed the Rams out. I thought today's win was maybe even more impressive from a complementary football angle because of the adjustments that the 49ers made. I'm not sure if we should count the 3 points the Rams scored there at the end. I think that was suspiciously designed to cover the spread for the Rams, which the spread was somewhere between 7 and 8.5 points, and obviously that cut the lead to and the final deficit to 30-23. So the Rams lost by 7. For all intents and purposes, 49ers up there 30-20 entering that final drive. But this was a 17-17 game at halftime. 17 all at halftime between the 49ers and the Rams. And then the 49ers came out and, again, for all intents and purposes, won the second half 13-3. So defense adjusted, offense stayed methodical. Anytime you score 30 in the NFL, you're going to have a chance, very good chance to win the game. And anytime you hold the opposing offense to 3 points in the National Football League in the second half, and for all intents and purposes, it was 3. I don't know what that field goal at the end for the Rams was about. Anytime you can hold that opposing offense to 3 or 6 in the second half, your winning percentage in the NFL is going to be very, very good. So adjustment city today for the 49ers. I thought in the first half I talked about the fact that Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay were doing a very good job against the 49ers secondary, finding their spots in the quick game. This had been, the story of the 49ers-Rams rivalry had been the 49ers offensive line beating the 49ers defensive line beating the Rams offensive front. So Stafford, Goff, whoever has been behind center for the Rams has not had the time to throw the football to a level that damages the 49ers defense over 60 minutes. And the Rams, we've seen them try to counter this. It was a disaster in week 4 last year, but in week 8, they tried to counter it with a quick game, and they tried to counter it using Matthew Stafford's quick release and just his exceptional knowledge. I mean, Stafford is a really, really damn good quarterback. I think this year he's healthy again, so he's delivering from all of the creative arm angles that we saw from before, and he's able to anticipate where the openings on the back end are going to be. And Matthew Stafford found those openings against the 49ers today, and he was consistently finding them throughout the first 30 minutes. It was going to take a big-time adjustment from Steve Wilks, maybe some tighter coverage. He was playing a little bit off. He was getting a feel for McVay and Stafford in the first half, but he was going to need to adjust down the stretch, and that's exactly what he did in the second half. It turned into Blitz City in the second half at SoFi Stadium, which, by the way, is not where I'm at right now. Those of you who are wondering, I see some questions. They're like, that doesn't look like SoFi Stadium. It's a lot nicer here than SoFi, which is a nice stadium, by the way. No disrespect to SoFi. I'm in Tahoe, though. One of my best friend's weddings was this weekend. So I'm up in Tahoe at the wedding. I'll be back with the 49ers this week, home opener against the Giants. But anyway, second half adjustment at SoFi Stadium was all about the blitzing. You saw Fred Warner come in on that 1 third down blitz, looped around. You saw him come in on an earlier blitz that didn't hit, but Isaiah Oliver was there to clean up the mess. Isaiah Oliver just smashed Kyren Williams, the running back, out of the backfield ahead of the first down on third down. And that's, I think, when this game started to really shift for the 49ers defense, right? Isaiah Oliver is a player who has taken some heat. The 49ers have obviously not, I don't think they've used Isaiah Oliver in the way that they thought they were going to use him when they signed him. But if he continues making plays like he did today, and first we saw the big-time tackle on that third down of Kyren Williams in the open field, then we saw the interception, which actually was a tipped interception. It was a bobble drop interception, but Isaiah Oliver was in the right place at the right time, good reaction time. And then we saw a run stop for him to help seal the game at the end. If he keeps on delivering the way that he did today, he's going to earn himself the type of snap load that the 49ers envisioned when they signed him. So the defense lived off of the blitzing. They lived off the adjustments, and they used their new free agent, Isaiah Oliver, to deliver in that regard. Deommodore Lenoir had the interception that really sealed it. I talked about the pick sixes for the 49ers against the Rams. They have 4 in 4 consecutive seasons against the Rams. If they get 5 when they play the Rams a second time this year at Levi's Stadium, if that happens, the 49ers will be the first team since the AFL-NFL merger to log a pick 6 against an opponent in 5 consecutive seasons. They didn't do it today. I thought Deommodore Lenoir, after he undercut that route from Van Jefferson, I thought that he had a chance at the pick 6. I thought that might have been NFL history. But the lesson still stays the same, and that is the 49ers, as these games against the Rams progress over time, they start to feel out where the Rams are going to throw. Their pass rush starts to take over. Today, they needed the help of a lot of Steve Wilkes blitzes for that pass rush to take over. And as that happens, the predictability of the Rams starts becoming their Achilles heel, right? And the 49ers, through the short game, because they're preying on the short game, because the Rams are afraid of their pass rush, they're able to notch big interceptions. So in 4 consecutive years, it's been a pick 6 that hasn't traveled more than 1 yard past the line of scrimmage. We go to 2019 was Fred Warner. 2020 was Javon Kinlaw on the screen. 2021 was Jimmy Ward with a front flip into the end zone. 2022 was Talanoa Hufanga. Well, today, the short game, they preyed on it a little bit later, but it was Deommodore Lenoir. And hey, maybe that was at around the same time of the game as Talanoa Hufanga's pick 6, which last season on Monday Night Football came at about, I think, 7 minutes to go. And that's around when Deommodore Lenoir had his pick 6, his pick that I thought might have turned into a pick 6 today. So it just goes to show you have to be patient with these defensive performances. In the NFL, especially against the hot quarterback, and today Matthew Stafford was, I think, playing really well. Again, I think he was hurt last year. So I think with his elbow injury last season, we didn't see the usual creative arm angles and pinpoint releases from Matthew Stafford that we normally see. That's back this year. He played really well against Seattle in week 1, and then the 49ers today saw another good version of Matthew Stafford. And the fact that they snuffed him out in the second half, gave up only those 6 points, and again, should have been only 3. That field goal at the end seemed rather silly from the Rams' perspective. It did cover the spread, but whatever. The fact that the 49ers were able to hold Matthew Stafford in the second half after keying on where he was going to throw in that short game, 2 picks, Isaiah Oliver, and then Deommodore Lenoir, that was some really high-level stuff from the 49ers defense. Right here in my notes, I have Rams short game on point. Those were my notes in the first half here from Tahoe watching the football game. Also in the first half, Christian McCaffrey, he had 80 yards within just a couple carries. I think John Middlecoff tweeted, I think I'm watching Walter Payton, Christian McCaffrey just barreling down the sideline. I mean, that was an impressive run. And then at the end, even though Akello Witherspoon technically tackled him, Christian McCaffrey just barreled over Akello Witherspoon. One is not like the other in terms of physicality. We know one of the reasons the 49ers didn't hold on to Akello Witherspoon past his rookie contract is because he wasn't quite physical enough for them, and Christian McCaffrey is definitely physical enough for them. It was just another balanced offensive performance for the 49ers. Brock Purdy, great on those intermediates. We can finally put the Brock Purdy doesn't have a strong enough arm talk to rest. I thought we could have put it to rest last week, but he missed 3 passes downfield because he put too much mustard on them. Now Brock Purdy's got to work on his touch, and then he did on his last downfield attempt. He hit Juwan Jennings for 31. So it just looks absolutely ridiculously silly. All those people who were saying that Purdy doesn't have arm strength, well, the opposite of what they were alleging is true, right? The opposite being that Brock Purdy actually puts too much mustard on throws downfield. But by and large, Purdy played well today, executed the offense well today. It's not easy to score 30 in the NFL, and the 49ers did score 30 against the Rams defense that gave up only 12 yards in the second half last week to Seattle. So Geno Smith and the Seahawks managed only 12 yards in the second half at home against the Rams last week, and the 49ers put up a lot more than that and 13 points in the second half to pull away from that 17-17 tie. The biggest stretch of the game might have been at the end of the first half. 49ers down 17-10, 2-minute drill. Purdy leads the team right down the field. Thought he missed an opportunity to spike the football. Probably should have spiked the football. Obviously didn't. They lost 10 or 11 seconds, but he made up for it. When they got to the 1, the Rams started committing what I thought might have been intentional penalties to keep the 49ers out of the end zone. Not a dumb strategy for the Rams, but finally, with only 1 second left, the 49ers were able to punch it in with the Garoppolo-like quarterback sneak from Brock Purdy. But the big throw to Juwan Jennings to set up that touchdown on that drive right over the middle of the field, perfectly placed. It's one of those throws where I said Purdy set the NFL record last year based on what's been tracked over the last 20 plus years on intermediate throws with an 80% completion rate. He is such money over the middle of the field, and that connection with Juwan Jennings. I mean, two big throws to Jennings, the sideline one in the second half, and then obviously the one that I'm talking about. Those two big throws to Juwan really did set the 49ers up. But that one at the end of the first half did set up the quarterback sneak that put the 49ers into the locker room tied at 17-all. Once they were tied at 17-all, well, it was home free in the second half because that defense had a chance to adjust. Steve Wilkes started dialing up the blitzes. The coverage got more tight as they felt out the Rams. You saw it with the Diamador Lenore pick. You saw it with Isaiah Oliver plays. Those were huge. And somebody's saying here the Rams are going to be decent this year. I think they're going to be solid. We saw it against the Seahawks, who beat the Lions today. The 49ers today took the Rams to task in the second half. Okay, so let's see here. McCaffrey, good. Misdirection, got Aaron Donald off balance. I thought the 49ers offensive line played a lot better than they did last week. I mean, you talk about week one allowing a lot of pressure to TJ Watt on the right side. I saw Donald beat Spencer Burford, but Purdy was ready to throw even when he got drilled today. There was that early play, I think, did he hit Ayuk or Deebo Samuel? I forgot which receiver it was, but he got drilled by Donald, who, as predicted, was seeking out Colton McKivitz. Donald, the tackle, was lining up at end. McKivitz did a decent job blocking him on that play, but he still was able to hit Brock Purdy. But even if Donald beats McKivitz, if Purdy beats Donald, it works. And Purdy had composure today. Again, he wasn't perfect. He missed some of those shots downfield, but he made his last shot downfield to Juwan Jennings. That was a big gainer, and he took care of the football. 49ers won the turnover battle 2-0 today, which is very correlated with winning the football game. And that 2-minute drive was big. Drake Jackson, another big pass breakup of Matthew Stafford. I mean, the 49ers held a solid edge. You could see that Sean McVay's game plan was like the 2019 game against the Rams in Week 16 when he was rolling Jared Goff out a lot, trying to move the pocket against the good pass rush. He was trying to help Matthew Stafford out by moving the pocket, and I think that's why the 49ers secondary was a little bit more hesitant on its spots, was playing with a little bit more of a cushion. It took them a little bit longer to find their spots in the back end, but they eventually did in the second half. And Drake Jackson was big with his pass breakup in the first half, holding the edge against the Rams. Had the Purdy miss of Juwan Jennings, the Brock Purdy overthrows. Puka Nacua breaks the NFL all-time rookie mark for catches in his first two games. Gave the 49ers some trouble, but ultimately the 49ers gave the Rams more trouble than LA could handle. The Fred Warner blitzes were huge today. So was Diamador Lenore. Players of the game on defense, I think you got to tip your cap to Isaiah Oliver. He showed up today in a big way. I mean, he is a player who lost some of his playing time because the 49ers didn't think that he was good enough in coverage against shiftier slot receivers during training camp, veteran free agent acquisition. But they always knew that he could be a physical player. Today he showed it. Massive open field tackle on third down against Kyron Williams. Forced a Rams punt. Big interception. It's better to be lucky and good. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but it's best to be lucky and good. And he was lucky on the pick. I mean, it bounced off the hands of the receiver, but he was also good. And it was a huge turnover there for Isaiah Oliver. So big tackle, big turnover, and then he made the run stop late in the game to snuff out the Rams, who didn't run all that effectively. They were really trying to establish the run, and they weren't able to effectively and consistently do it against the 49ers. So ultimately they had Stafford dropping back near 50 times, and the 49ers took care of it. So 49ers moved to 2-0. This kind of formula is going to win them a lot of football games. Home opener against the Giants on Thursday night at Levi Stadium. And I will tell you that Jake Moody also had one of the biggest plays of the game. That third-round pick looking nice for the 49ers right now. Moody, 3 of 3 on field goals. He became the first kicker since Justin Tucker to go 3 of 3 in his debut last week. Goes 3 of 3 again, including a 57-yarder. So he's 6 of 6. He's drilling 57-yarders. He's kicking kickoffs into the stands. Complementary football means offense, defense, and special teams all feeding off of each other in a beautiful way. That's what happened today for the 49ers. Offense got the job done. They scored 30. Purdy was good. Deebo Samuel was a monster out there. So was Christian McCaffrey. Wasn't perfect, but they put up 30, which is great in the NFL. Defense made adjustments. Steve Wilks and those blitzes, especially in the second half, were some poetry for the 49ers. It turned into an intense chess match, but they won it against Matthew Stafford. And then you had Jake Moody with the massive, massive kick from 57 yards. Third-round pick on Moody, looking damn good for the 49ers. They do this again multiple times, they can win a Super Bowl. That's the bottom line. Wins in the NFL are not easy to come by, and the 49ers got one today. All right, 30-23. We'll talk to everybody soon.